first time, PC gamers get the opportunity to dive into a Burnout game. Criterion's Burnout Paradise represents a pretty drastic departure from the franchise's beginnings. There's still preposterously high-speed racing through roads populated with traffic and spectacular crashes, but this time around you're dropped into an open world called Paradise City. Released last January for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, with this version called the Ultimate Box, you get all the downloadable content released by Criterion so far, which includes more multiplayer modes, bikes, a day-night cycle, and the newly added Party Pack for an offline multiplayer option, and it all seems to work pretty well. This isn't a hardcore racing simulation. It's meant to be accessible and entertaining, and pretty forgiving when it comes to control and banging into guardrails, at least with the cars available early on. To actually participate in races, you drive around the city and stop at traffic lights to initiate one of several types of events. Certain types of cars are better at certain events, so you'll want to use stunt cars to pull off tricks, aggression cars for the takedown battles, and speed cars for races. Winning events around the world earns you better licenses, which eventually earns you new rides. Hidden around Paradise City are tons of shortcuts, and becoming familiar with the overall setup is actually going to take some time here. While the driving mechanics of the various types of cars is pretty easy to get used to, the game's setup is more complicated. Until you've learned the ins and outs of the city and how the interface works, you're probably going to be a little confused. Part of this is due to the game allowing you to take any route you want to the finish line of a race, meaning if you hop on the wrong shortcut, you could find yourself heading backwards down an abandoned railroad track instead of barreling forward with the rest of the pack. Now, it's not like you're totally being tossed to the wolves here. The game does give you some direction in the form of tutorials, blinking street signs, turn signals, and a mini-map to let you know where to go. Even so, it'll take a while to get used to the timing of everything, especially if you veer off the recommended course, and taking your eye off the traffic ahead is always dangerous to consult the minimap. This is more of a warning than anything else, since once you get used to the setting, navigation becomes much less of an issue. As for the gameplay, there's a definite rush to be had with the races as you drive dangerously to earn boosts to go even faster, especially once you start to unlock some of the higher-end cars. Each vehicle has its own feel and associated statistics, and the responsive, fluid controls make for some high-intensity traffic weaving, turning, and smashing. Point totals required to complete takedown missions and stunt missions increase as you move through, something that can get a little tedious after you go through something like the Elite license, where you have to complete all the challenges in the game world, some of which you may have already completed a few times over. But still, the gameplay remains entertaining, and there's lots of content here to engage with to unlock all 70+ cars. Other goals include flying down sections of road to achieve high scores while wandering around, and at any time a crash mode can be initiated. Here you'll hit the boost button to bounce down city streets, tagging vehicles for points and buses for multipliers. And while it's entertaining in a mindless sort of way, it can't really match the level of satisfaction of pulling off a high score in the puzzle-like challenges of Burnout titles past. Unlike the original console release, this version of the game includes an option to restart events, if you know you'll fail or if you want to try again, which certainly makes things more convenient. And whenever the single-player portion of the game gets stale, there are plenty of options for online competitions, including various types of stunt and time challenges, as well as customizable race routes. The party mode content included with this supports offline multiplayer, where the idea is for up to 8 players to pass a controller around while trying their hand at various events. It's difficult to tell how much use this mode will get from players, but it's more content. Since it's a PC version, you can expect support for multiple control inputs, and monitors for that matter, as well as customizable graphics options, though you'll need to wade through a clunky menu interface to get at everything you're looking for. On our system with an 8800 GTX, quad-core processor, 2 gigs of RAM, and Vista 32, we found the game performed really smoothly at 1920 by 1200, with detail set to high, 4x AA, although we kept the SSAO off. So if you're craving high-intensity, explosive racing action on the PC, Criterion's Burnout Paradise is a solid choice, and actually one of the few. For the full review, log on to pc.ign.com.